Hi there, and welcome to another episode of the IBAC Tech Trek podcast. As always, I'm your host and science officer on this journey, Tom Reid, and we get into all of the cool tech things that happen in the insurance space. Today, a special episode for a couple of reasons. One is we're going to flip between French and English because we are a bilingual country. And two, this is a bit of a debrief on one of the first proofs of concept of the AI project that IBAC's been working on. And just a bit of background around there. IBAC has been working on a series of projects to benefit the education of brokers across the country. So we have a bunch of work that now resides on the IBAC Tech website. You can go there and check that out. That's ibactech.ca. There's a menu option for the AI project. You'll see some governance items and some education items, what have you, as well as a description of two proofs of concept. And one of which we'll be talking about today, which is a project initiated between Cemiar and Turquoise. And we're going to dive into that today. So first, we'll talk about our participants here. So let's talk about Turquoise first. So Sean and Sandra, could you introduce yourselves and talk a bit about Turquoise?
Sure. Thanks, Tom. I'm Sean Morrow. I have been a brokerage owner, or a broker owner's partner, now working with Turquoise. Turquoise is a Quebec-based firm, about $500 million of premium, everything from signature VIP, regular personal lines to small business, about 20,000 clients, but overall about over 200,000 clients in the province. So pretty big player, one of the top brokerages here, and a huge supporter of tech. One of the big attractants for me joining the firm in January. But a huge supporter of broker enablement and the broker mission. So that's me and Turquoise. Sandra, you probably want to say hi.
Merci, Sean. Donc, moi, c'est Sandra Clouston. Je suis la partie en français aujourd'hui dans ce podcast. Donc, directrice des opérations en développement des compétences chez la Turquoise, puis dans l'assurance depuis 8 ans maintenant. Puis, je travaille activement avec Cemiar sur notre projet d'aujourd'hui.
Merci, Sandra. So let's go over to Cemiar. Sam and Seif, do you want to talk a bit about Cemiar and yourselves?
Sure. First of all, happy to be back on the podcast. This is my second appearance on the IBAC Tech Trek. Hopefully, Tom, there's a free coffee or something on the next one. But for those of you who may not know us yet, I am Samuel Belanger. I am the co-founder and co-president of Cemiar. Today, I am joined by Seif Sarsar, one of Cemiar's top engineer for sure. He's been with us for almost 2 years now. He's worked at Microsoft, at Amazon, and now we're lucky enough that he's bringing this advanced engineering expertise for the betterment of the broker channel, working through Cemiar, of course. And so Seif was also the lead engineer behind the module, behind the solution we'll be discussing today. And as for Cemiar, again, as you may know, we are a software engineering company that evolved into a fully dedicated insurtech firm. Our ambition is certainly to become one of the North American leader in insurance technology solutions. So we really build different types of solution. I would say that it's always for either brokers or carriers, and we build all types of technology, but they mainly focus around integration, automation, and AI solutions that really help enhance operational efficiency for the channel. And so, of course, we know the industry quite well. We do work with the IBAC as a partner. We work with CISIO, RCCQ, and BMS vendors and industry partners. So we feel there's still a lot of things for us to accomplish in the industry.
So on my side, thank you, Sam, for the intro. It's my first time doing a podcast. It's a good way to start doing podcasts with compliments from Sam. So thank you. So I've been working for almost 2 years with Cemiar. I studied as a software engineer. I'm working as a full stack developer with Cemiar. And I've been working, like you said, in this project with IBAC and Turquoise.
After that introduction and describing Seif's background, I feel like he should be asking for a raise shortly.
He actually did not so long ago, but we can always talk.
I was planning to do that tomorrow.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to talk about this specific AI project. There's actually two, and we'll have another podcast later on down the road about the second one. But this particular tool, and I'll let Sandra explain it more, but it's commercial lines oriented, and it's helping the broker find the right coverage or the perfect coverage for their clients. So, Sandra, est-ce que tu peux expliquer la situation actuelle et pourquoi investir pour améliorer la situation?
Oui, donc on a vraiment réfléchi à comment réduire les frais d'opération, puis comment soutenir nos courtiers qui ont une grande charge de travail actuellement, on a un taux d'achalandage quand même assez élevé, on a une grande clientèle, donc on voulait se pencher à voir comment la technologie peut venir nous aider dans certaines situations. Le but, c'est vraiment d'identifier c'est quoi les tâches des courtiers qui ont moins de valeur ajoutée. Puis à ce moment-là, comment la technologie peut venir nous aider dans ces tâches-là. Donc, avec ce projet-là, on a quand même 2 projets. Là. On avait le premier projet qui était le Comparator, puis actuellement le Coverage Gap Finder, qui nous permet à ce moment-là d'analyser, d'aider le courtier là, dans son analyse de renouvellement. C'est vraiment cette tâche-là, le temps d'analyse qui est quand même une tâche qui peut prendre quand même plusieurs minutes à faire. Donc, de pouvoir aller réduire le temps de cette tâche-là, ça permet à ce moment-là au courtier de consacrer plus de temps là, sur ces tâches là, à valeur ajoutée. Évidemment, un courtier dans son rôle conseil, service à clientèle, ça lui permet d'aller bonifier les polices d'assurance avec des produits supplémentaires, avoir plus de temps pour des nouvelles affaires, générer plus d'opportunités d'offres. Donc, c'est vraiment là qu'on s'est consacré pour ce projet technologique-là pour rendre le courtier plus efficace puis il permet d'avoir plus de temps là, dans ses tâches-là à plus-value. Évidemment, le but, c'est de conserver son devoir de conseil puis son esprit critique. On le voit vraiment quand même plus comme un assistant personnel là, pour soutenir son travail. Le but, c'est pas de faire le travail à sa place, mais de le rendre plus efficace puis plus rapide là, dans son travail.
If we just back up a little bit, it's probably no secret in the industry. It feels like every day we're talking about the gap in qualified people, the number of candidates that we have available. If I think at the beginning of a project like this, you start to look at it and think, where are the areas in which we are spending our time? How much time we are applying to tasks that more and more we might be able to find ways to automate. The objective of, and we'll talk a bit more about it, I suppose, but we're not really trying to replace a broker, but where can we help the broker become more efficient? And the work that Sandra's describing is work that sometimes seems menial or maybe less significant, but it's at the core of the broker skill set, being able to really get into the analysis. But there's so much analysis to do in order to provide the right needs analysis, explanations, and expertise to the client. And so enter Cemiar with a project like this in collaboration with IBAC. We see an opportunity to really bring something of massive value to the broker workforce, and at the same time bring a higher level of service and care to the clients at the end of the day.
So, Sean, insurance is an industry where there, as you put, a lot of menial tasks, but they are in a lot of ways super important from a client's perspective, and from a regulatory perspective and whatnot, but definitely from a client's perspective. And I've seen brokers that respond to that by sometimes not doing some of those things, or having to spend a lot of money to accomplish those tasks. And the outcome of this project seems like it might be the way forward, like the best of both worlds, is to be able to do those things without having to spend as much money as what one would have had to spend in the past. So can you bring that home for us, can you talk about what it was that Turquoise expected to be the outcome of this, whether it was new workflows or time savings or repurposing staff or what have you? What did you guys see as the potential benefits of this project?
Yeah, interesting question, because like a lot of things, when you enter this AI space or automation space, you have sort of an expectation that well, I think that let's talk about the fear. I think people naturally start to think, "Well, are you trying to cut me out?" And we're in this hugely regulatory environment. Clients' needs for interpretation, prioritization, context, advocacy, these things don't go away just because you can automate certain things, or you can find AI to intelligently perhaps triage information, let's say. But I think what we were hoping to get out of it, and I think it's the early stages to really talk about the quantification of that hope. But what we're seeing is that analytical period, every time that you get this year's policy and need to compare it to next year's policy, or you're trying to compare two elements, that requires a sort of investigation, if you will, before you can do the analysis. You have to dig in, do some research, and figure out what it is that you're comparing. A simple example, of course, is just last year's premium to this year's premium. You have to know where to go and look to find that information, and it could be in two different spaces, or it needs to, regardless, be pulled out and put side by side. What we were hoping to get out of it, and what we're seeing that we get out of it, is that the everyday broker who's got some of that analytical work can be more presented with those apples to apples, so that they can quickly move to the interpretation phase. This allows them for, I would say, a longer period of analytical moment instead of research moment, so that we can focus on improving the quality of advice. The objective is not here to, and it was never an expected outcome, to eliminate positions or even to reduce the workforce. Rather, can we find time and repurpose that time towards a better client experience, to better quality of service, and our real great expectations, can we repurpose that towards sales efforts? Can we use that towards time towards growth, organic growth itself?
Those are great, headline opportunities for Turquoise. And I'm going to turn the attention to Cemiar. So you've got past renewals, what's coming in, information about the client and the industry that are in, and so on. How did you guys solve this problem? Right? There seems to be a lot of unstructured data, a lot of documents running around to be able to actually make this analysis that a human would know where to go to get, because it's in this filing cabinet or in this folder, what have you. How did you guys land on a technical solution here?
The way it works, the main goal is to basically find gaps with coverages in insurance policies. And when I'm talking about insurance policies, I'm talking about insure attachments. So we compare them to a set of predetermined coverage standards, and we basically allow brokers to define these standards with a user interface we developed through our Cemiar portal. And basically, these rules are customizable based on the needs of the broker. So a broker can define general rules, but he can also define more specific rules based on policy types and insurers. I'll give you an example. If we have an intact insurance policy related to a restaurant, we would have a predefined set of standards for this specific use case. So our solution is able to detect specific keywords in the policy attachments with the coverages to select the right set of rules to find the gaps. And at the end, after finding the gaps, we return an Excel report that highlights all these gaps that we found for a specific policy. In regards to the technologies we used, we leveraged AI and optical character recognition technologies. So we use these technologies to extract data points from these insurance policy attachments. And then after the data extraction was made, we use highly tested and optimized algorithm to find the gaps.
So, Seif, is this was this a custom project? Like, is this something you did explicitly and only for La Turquoise, or is this available more broadly to other brokers?
So it was made in a way that it's customizable. So, like I mentioned, brokers can define their own set of rules based on their own standards. The good thing is, like, whenever we implement the way it works, we integrate insurers, and once that insurer works with our system, it will work for any kind of broker. So at any time tomorrow, if a brokerage wants to use this solution, the fact that it works with La Turquoise, it will work for this new brokerage, but they can customize this tool based on their needs.
La Turquoise really is a fantastic partner to develop innovation with. There's dozens of innovation modules, products that we've developed over the last couple of years, which La Turquoise first. We think very highly of their people, of their leaders, and it shows in the feedback that we receive when we develop products with them. We know it's reliable. We know we receive the right insights. And so when we try to bring those types of innovation to market, I'd say really we've been lucky to build it with the right partner first. For sure, in the last few weeks and months, I've been doing many sales calls and many presentations with brokerages in all provinces. And we always talk about that upcoming product that is a coverage gap finder. And I always see the eyes open. So the value that will be delivered to La Turquoise, I think it's almost a certainty that all brokers will have the same value.
Just to be really clear, what the tool is doing is taking a look at what coverage is there and pointing out, compared to the data that they've already taken in and read and analyzed, they're comparing what we have on offer with what is missing, and pointing out for being able to point out for our brokers in a color-coded way, what has changed. So if the premium has gone up, or the premium has gone down, or if the wording has changed. In other words, rather than having to dig through what's changed or waiting for an insurer specifically, we're not trying to take away from anyone's responsibility to highlight what those changes are, including the insurers when a policy change comes through, or the version number has changed or something like that. But it's almost like giving a table of contents to the discussion. This is just an analogy I'm using, but a table of discussion in which the broker can follow through and quickly determine what they need to make sure that they review for accuracy, for notification, for discussion, for explanation, for interpretation, for analysis towards the needs of the client today versus what they might have been before. So it's really helping create that guide particularly for a less experienced broker in an earlier stage of their career, but also at this, and this goes back to your earlier question, Tom, at a place where you're running through a huge volume. You've got 20,000 clients' policies that we're running through in the small business sector. Well, we don't want to lose any of those important conversations about what is happening in this year's policy with the client, and so this helps fast track those conversations.
Perfect. Okay, so this was all the theory. Now I want to turn to Sandra to ask about the reality. And I just wanted to say one thing, is that having been through a series of project update meetings with Sandra and Seif and so on, one of the things that I am really impressed with, which is a great takeaway for other brokers, is that Sandra and the team of people who actually do these jobs were directly involved in the build and rollout of the project. So technology is great, but technology doesn't solve problems. Properly implemented technology solves problems. And I would say, in my experience, like a large number of the issues come into place after the tool has been developed, and now you're about to roll it out to the humans who are going to use it. If they haven't been involved and don't really agree with it or they feel threatened, it fails at that point. The technology could be fantastic, but that human change piece, if that's not addressed, throughout the project, you're going to fail. And La Turquoise obviously understood that and had the folks involved in this as part of the project. So positive approach there, very strong approach to change management. So now I'm going to ask Sandra how this thing actually went. So we heard all the marketing spin and all the ideas and whatnot. So Sandra, vous êtes maintenant dans la phase d'implantation. Est-ce que l'outil rencontre vos attentes?
Tu me devances justement, Tom, avec ton point parce que effectivement, la gestion de changement puis l'adaptation des courtiers, c'est vraiment un point qu'il faut pas négliger quand on implante la technologie. C'est pas tout le monde qui est à l'aise avec la technologie, c'est pas tout le monde qui fait confiance à l'intelligence artificielle à ce stade-ci. Fait que c'est vraiment quelque chose qui est important à prendre en considération quand on implante un outil, même si elle fonctionne super bien, même si elle serait parfaite. Il faut que les gens soient impliqués et qu'ils aient envie de l'utiliser. Donc, présentement, à ce stade-ci, honnêtement, ça répond à nos attentes, oui, même que ça les dépasse dans le sens qu'on est assez surpris à quel point l'outil fonctionne bien en peu de temps, qu'il soit déjà disponible dans notre environnement de production. Donc, il est disponible dans certains dossiers. Comme tu dis, Tom, présentement, il y a des courtiers qui nous aident. Là, on est vraiment on est dans la première phase d'implantation. Donc, on a un projet pilote avec une équipe de courtiers au PME, une équipe réduite qui utilise l'outil là, dans certains dossiers. Mais eux, ils nous permettent de nous donner des feedbacks, de nous donner des suggestions pour des améliorations, identifier les problèmes si c'est le cas pour voir si on peut les régler parce que il y a une partie que c'est l'intelligence artificielle, mais il y a une partie que c'est la turquoise qui dit à la machine quoi lire, quoi faire. Donc, quand c'est juste des problèmes d'éducation, ben c'est facile pour nous de régler la problématique. Donc, c'est ce qui fait que l'outil est assez fiable. Là, je parle vraiment surtout du Coverage Gap Finder. Là, Sean parlait aussi un peu du comparator, là, la première phase du projet technologique qu'on a, c'est le comparator là, qui analyse la police avec le renouvellement. Mais le Coverage Gap Finder, il y a beaucoup plus d'éducation à faire de notre part versus la portion comparator où c'est vraiment l'intelligence artificielle, donc il y a un petit peu plus probablement de risque de marge d'erreur. Mais présentement, on a vraiment une marge d'erreur très minime avec le Coverage Gap Finder. Là. Il est assez fiable. Les principales erreurs qu'on identifie, c'est vraiment un manque d'éducation, un manque de mots-clés. Puis dès qu'on l'ajoute, c'est réglé. Puis je veux quand même soulever, reprendre un peu le point de Sam qui disait parce que je l'avais aussi là, à mentionner dans le sens que c'est vraiment facile de travailler avec Cemiar. C'est vraiment un gros teamwork là, sur ce projet-là, mais on est vraiment investi, puis on est vraiment motivé, puis on a du plaisir aussi. Fait que c'est vraiment un projet facile à travailler avec Cemiar. Ils sont vraiment sont à l'écoute des besoins, puis on travaille vraiment bien en collaboration ensemble. Fait que ça, moi aussi, je veux le soulever de ce que tu dis, Samuel.
Merci, Sandra.
Nos gens là, dans notre équipe sont intéressés à l'utiliser. Oui, on a une équipe de projet pilote qui l'utilise présentement, mais comme tu dis, Tom, c'est important d'inclure les gens dans ces projets-là. Donc, les gens, ils savent que l'outil s'en vient. Dans notre autre département aussi, ils sont au courant que ça s'en vient. Donc, ça peut créer un peu la curiosité. Il y en a aussi il y en a certains pour qui ils sont plus réticents, mais en commençant à en parler tout de suite, la gestion de changement se fait à ce moment-là plus dès maintenant. Mais évidemment, on garde une vigie, puis évidemment, on n'a pas fini de le travailler. Là, il est loin d'être fini, il commence à peine. Fait que c'est sûr qu'on suit la progression de ce projet-là, puis on va prendre les feedbacks de nos courtiers pour pouvoir apporter les améliorations parce que c'est eux qui l'utilisent. Donc, le but, c'est que ça leur parle, que ça leur corresponde, puis que ça réponde à leurs besoins, là, évidemment. Là. Mais on n'a pas vraiment, on craint pas que ça va fonctionner. Faut juste que ça réponde de la bonne façon, mais on est vraiment sûr que ça va vraiment bien s'implanter dans leur méthodologie puis qu'ils vont trouver le bénéfice.
Hopefully going to be lots of brokerage owners and brokerage leaders listening to this podcast and hearing about the good progress and success that's been made here. Who would be the ideal candidate brokerage for this tool? Are there brokerages that would be, better than others? Are there brokerages that, if they meet a certain criteria, probably wouldn't be able to take advantage of this tool? Who's the right candidate for this tool?
So I would say, beside Turquoise being an amazing brokerage for the solution, I would say that this solution would work for most brokerages of any sizes, since that, according to our observed metrics, this solution, it successfully decreases the amount of time needed for brokers to analyze policies. However, I think that larger brokerages tend to realize a greater return on investment since they have a higher volume of policies. And this solution, because the time savings scale with the policy volume, I would say like organizations with a significant number of policies will experience a more substantial efficiency gain. I would say the brokerages that may not be the ideal ones for this tool, I would say that, like Sandra mentioned, it requires a certain effort, an initial effort in the beginning to properly set up this tool. So if a brokerage expects to just plug and play and without any initial effort, they might not really find any benefits with this tool. So it's an initial effort that has to be done once. Once it's done, the coverage gap finder will work based on the rules that are defined by the brokerage.
Si je peux ajouter, Tom, je veux juste préciser que le portail de Cemiar qui monte, qui est disponible pour nous pour pouvoir mettre les couvertures qu'on veut est quand même très user-friendly. Donc, tu sais, le visuel, c'est assez rapide d'aller faire des corrections. Ça nous permet d'être très, très efficace, puis ça fonctionne vraiment bien. Là. Fait que si je peux apporter cette précision-là, parce que pour vrai, c'est vraiment un portail facile d'accès, user-friendly. Ça va super bien pour ajouter. On peut ajouter des protections qu'on veut flaguer ou on en enlever. Là, ça prend. C'est pas long. Là. Fait qu'une fois que le portail est disponible et qu'il fonctionne bien, ça va super bien. Là.
I think the point really here, like I have a pool tester. You can test your pool water, your hot tub or whatever, and it's I don't know, it was like $450, and it's supposed to work amazing, but if you don't learn how to use it and read the little dials and things like that, it's completely useless. So I think what Seif is saying is you've got to actually be ready to invest some time into the process. It has to be set up according to how you analyze your policies and how you want to prepare your brokers for their discussions out with their clients. What Sandra is adding to that is Cemiar makes it easy to do that setup and easy to get the project off the ground. But you got to be willing to put the work in. There's no sense buying the pool tester and leaving it in the shed.
That's an interesting analogy. Just in time for summer pool season. That's probably as long as your mind. Okay, all right. That's great feedback. And I mean, I think to me, it doesn't matter what you're doing, right? There's always a learning curve or a time investment or what have you. And sounds like Sandra's been through that and says, hey, it's not that hard, right? So good to know. So. Let's talk a bit about the future. And Sandra, do you see any next steps? Quelles sont les prochaines étapes? Prévoyez-vous des nouvelles fonctionnalités?
Oui, donc on a quand même quelques étapes qui s'en viennent, là, évidemment, parce qu'on est au début du projet. Ce qui est déployé présentement pour le Coverage Gap Finder que je précise là, parce que le comparator il est plus avancé, mais le Coverage Gap Finder, présentement, il est fonctionnel seulement sur les polices en biens commerciaux et responsabilité civile. Donc, avec Intact seulement. Donc, prochaine étape, évidemment, ça va être de développer l'automobile commerciale. La prochaine étape, c'est maintenant, là, on commence à se pencher là-dessus avec Seif dès maintenant. Donc, il faut évaluer la vision, comment la programmation va être la mieux possible pour fonctionner avec les polices auto. Parce que malheureusement, le visuel est pas le même qu'en bien. Fait que ça va être un nouveau défi à débuter pour l'automobile commerciale. Après, présentement, il est déployé seulement dans notre volume PME, donc nos plus petits clients. Donc, la prochaine étape, ça serait aussi de le déployer dans nos plus gros dossiers, nos plus grands dossiers avec plusieurs situations, plusieurs bâtiments, plusieurs activités, etc. Donc, ça aussi, ça s'en vient sous peu. On va commencer à le tester éventuellement. Puis, évidemment, étant donné que là, c'est fonctionnel que sur les polices intactes, mais ça va être d'adapter l'outil pour les autres assureurs, là, plusieurs assureurs au régulier, sur le marché régulier. Pourquoi faut l'adapter aux différents assureurs? C'est parce qu'on présentement, c'est le Coverage Gap Finder. Le but est vraiment de dire ce client-là, quelle serait sa meilleure protection chez cet assureur-là. Mais si on le met dans un autre assureur, l'assureur n'a pas les mêmes. Chaque assureur a différentes terminologies. Ils n'ont pas les mêmes numéros de formulaire. Donc, à ce moment-là, il faut faire la programmation différente parce qu'on doit vraiment lui dire on veut tel numéro de formulaire, tel nom de couverture, telle limite. Donc, c'est pour ça qu'on doit l'adapter c'est vraiment personnalisé par assureur. Fait que ça va être une des prochaines étapes aussi. Puis, quelques features pas officielles, mais auxquelles on réfléchit actuellement. Mais étant donné qu'on est vraiment à la phase 1, ça va être un petit peu plus loin, mais on commence déjà à y réfléchir. Étant donné qu'on a le comparator, puis ensuite le coverage gap finder, nous, on le voit vraiment comme un tout. Mais tu sais, quand on commence à avoir plusieurs situations, plusieurs couvertures, ça peut être quand même des onglets assez longs à lire ou quoi que ce soit. Donc, on prévoit peut-être une page résumée qui va nous permettre d'aller identifier rapidement toutes les choses qui ont toutes les choses qui ont été identifiées comme dans le comparator, ben ça va pouvoir nous montrer rapidement qu'est-ce qui a changé, quelle prime a changé, lesquelles couvertures ont eu un taux, par exemple, qui a changé ou une nouvelle exclusion, une nouvelle condition. Donc, on voudrait peut-être aller avoir une page résumée là, pour pouvoir nous donner en un coup d'œil rapidement les choses qui sont importantes à identifier. On réfléchit aussi probablement là, avec de notre côté chez la Turquoise, peut-être un aide-mémoire pour aider nos courtiers juniors à donner des argumentaires pour offrir des protections qui sont manquantes selon personnalisées à l'assureur. Puis évidemment, le visuel de l'outil. Sur le Coverage Gap Finder, on n'a pas travaillé actuellement sur un visuel cute. On a vraiment travaillé sur l'outil qui soit fonctionnel. Donc, ça pourrait être une prochaine étape, voir si on veut travailler un visuel, parce que c'est l'humain, souvent, quand le visuel est plus accrocheur puis que c'est plus agréable à l'œil, ben les gens ont plus intérêt à l'utiliser. Fait qu'on va se pencher probablement là-dessus éventuellement. Mais notre priorité actuelle, c'était vraiment d'avoir un outil qui fonctionne puis qui fonctionne bien.
So, thinking of the future, and I guess Sam or Saif, one of you can answer this question. Outside of this particular project with La Turquoise and this particular product, are there other things without giving away all of your secrets, are there other things you guys are working on that you want to mention?
Yes, for sure. I'd say, of course, Cemiar, we don't build just one solution like some vendors would do, which is totally fine. They focus on one specific solution. I think there's three parts to that answer. The first part, of course, it's always Cemiar Link, which, as you know, Tom, it's our API hub. It's the foundation of every innovation we bring to market. We think strong connectivity integration and secure integration is kind of the most important part of bringing robust innovation. And so that API hub has allowed us to develop some of those projects like the coverage gap. It's also partly why we received last week 2 awards from CSIO for best API and best security in an API. Then the second part to that answer, of course, are our automation modules. What we've done since 3 years ago, we're building what we call customizable automation modules. So these are solutions that can automate processes in personal lines and commercial lines. We've developed many different solutions that have been tested, and I'd say these are almost home runs because we know exactly what they will deliver. They are implemented in brokerages of all sizes. I'd say from 5 employees to almost 5,000 employees across every provinces. Some of those workflows would be commercial invoicing, policy comparison, reconciliation in direct billing or banking reconciliation, analysis of policies and personal lines, and many more. And so this, I'd say right now, this is pretty much what Cemiar is known for. Of course, we are always building new modules and new solutions based on client requirements. So we always start with what's the need of the market, what are the pain points that are the biggest priority in terms of operational and financial savings, and we go from there. And to go back to your question about what's coming next, I think this is an important part. It's something a bit different than what we've done yet. I'm sure some of the listeners have heard about it. It's a project that is called CASI. CASI is our agentic AI platform that should be ready for the Canadian market in this fall. So for the last 2 years, we've been working on CASI, and so this is kind of a combination of trying to leverage the power of LLMs, AI agents, and the integration routes. And there are 2 phases that we're bringing to market in the coming months. Phase 1 is really focused around intelligent research and assistance. So it's designed really to interact directly with almost any data point in your BMS. It can read and interpret also carrier documents, internal procedure, retrieve information, interpret information, and it can answer almost any question you will ask it. So simply said, it's kind of a ChatGPT-like experience, but fully embedded inside your insurance environment. So it speaks to your system, to your data, and you can ask questions. So it will really be a game changer for both brokers and I think administrative team as well. I'd say so the listeners are so it's clear to listeners. Unlike our traditional automation modules, which are what we call deterministic solution, this layer is more probabilistic. It relies on very advanced AI to understand context, to interpret unstructured information, compare documents, reason through complex and different situations, formats that consistently varies. And so phase 1 it's a research agent that uses agentic AI. I think what will be the biggest revolution with CASI will be CASI phase 2, which we call CASI workflows. We think CASI workflows will unlock capabilities that are extremely advanced. A quick example would be those damn COIs that I think every meeting we do, someone asks us about is there a solution that you can build to automate and generate those certificate of issuing that I think you receive many times during a day. And so that could do it. We could do intelligent activity handling, advanced document analysis, and really fully automated workflow. And I think one of the simplest way to explain that would be maybe if we use the renewal workflow. Right now, we have automation modules that are proven, one of which is before the renewal, and one of which is after receiving the renewal. So it will transact, it will invoice, it will compare. But there's nothing during the renewal, which inevitably is the longest part of the renewal. And so with a tool like CASI Workflow, instead of a broker manually navigating every step, CASI will not only guide the user through the process by telling him exactly which step they need to do, it will be able to do, we think, maybe 80-90% of those steps automatically. So if the first step is to gather information, claims, changes in previous months, it will tell you to do it, but it will also gather that information and build the document with you. So this will help with compliance, of course. This will help new brokers follow specific workflows. And instead of a workflow maybe taking 5 or 10 or 15 minutes, maybe the same workflow will be now accomplished in 30 seconds. And there are dozens of use cases that we're looking at currently that we think these are, I'd say, pain points that have been presented to us over the last couple of years. And for some reason, we had to focus on what could be solved reliably first with the technologies that were available then. And so I think it's also the responsibility of our engineers to learn about the new technologies and what's coming, and make sure we adapt by bringing even more advanced innovation. And CASI is certainly one of it. One of those innovations. We think it will be one of the biggest revolution the industry have seen. And so CASI Phase 1 research agent, to your BMS, to your SharePoint, to your carrier manuals for comparison as well. Phase 2 CASI workflows that will automate workflows that currently are not possible to automate with current technologies. And with a mix of deterministic and probabilistic, we think at some point we can automate a very large part of those workflows that we're being asked to work on. And so this is certainly the next big project we're bringing to market. I won't lie, there's some other cards in our sleeves. There's other projects we're working on in the roadmap. For specific reason, I guess we'll wait on the next podcast to talk about it.
I would definitely say that when you guys are about to launch CASI or have launched CASI, then definitely need you to come back on the podcast and give a bit more of a deep dive into what you're doing, because it does sound very exciting. I'm obviously a very pro technology, pro artificial intelligence person. Everybody on this conversation is very pro. So, so Sean, I'm going to pick on you. And, you and I have known each other for a while, very tech forward individual yourself. But I'm going to flip the script a little bit. Why would a brokerage not want to take advantage of some of this technology? Or what are some of the, or what are some of the disadvantages of bringing in some of this technology into a brokerage, if any? Right. So I'll challenge you to kind of think in a completely opposite direction of the way you normally think, and see if you can find what are the reasons why people would say, you know what, this is super cool, not doing it.
I like challenge. Let me reframe it. Let's put it into considerations that are worthwhile for your broker owner or operational folks on or watching. I think, and I think everyone here would probably agree, we talk an awful lot about change management. I joined this industry about, 15, 16 years ago. And I remember thinking some of the stuff that we're talking about today, like we already heard about outside of the insurance industry, years ago. And that was for like lead gen. I think you and I had a conversation about that 15 years ago. Change management is one of those things today. We keep, I think we even said it on this, in this episode. The first consideration I would say is we need to move away from change management and start thinking about promoting adaptability, promoting flexibility, helping our people learn to be more resilient in the face of change, not just managing themselves through change. And getting involved with AI is, we don't yet know what this is going to look like completely on the other side. Or if there is another side, or if we're all just going to actually walk through it. So I think the first consideration is if you don't want to spend a lot of money going nowhere and you want it to be useful, start thinking of it as iterational momentum. So you're going to start with something, and to help with that, do it. Focus on simplifying. What are you trying to accomplish first? So if you want to fix a process with AI, it's probably easier to start with automation. And if you're starting with automation, it's probably better to look at a simplified version of whatever process it is you think you're going to fix. And the third thing, probably most important, so promote flexibility, promote adaptability, focus on simplifying. I would say the third thing is we have a mission critical responsibility as professionals in this space where we see all of this stuff changing, to think how is it going to affect how we're going to train people and our future brokers to be the best version of those brokers. What do I mean? Enter a tool to help you do billing. So everything from the moment that you download your company documents, you can read how much it is you have to bill the client, who the client is, and even produce an email and actually send it to the client. Thank you, Cemiar. You could do all of that, but now you're taking away the opportunities that we use to explain to a broker, or the practical moments that the broker has to learn how to do billing, why we do billing, 30-day cancellations, cancellation periods, notice periods, and all of those things. It's not to say that we shouldn't do automatic billing, or we shouldn't use maybe AI to make a personalized email out of that. If and when we decide to go 100% through the process. But we do need to think that we're starting to give people calculators, and we still need to teach them math. And they have to be able to understand that math well enough, at the very least, to explain it, if not how it completely works, but why it's important. And I would argue that a skilled broker and the competent broker workforce on the other side of this is going to be able to explain that mathematical process at the same time. So it's I kind of dovetailed back to what I said earlier. I think we do have to think about how we serve clients better through interpretation, prioritization, contextualizing. And that only happens if we are flexible and adaptable. We simplify our process and do it, I think. And third, we understand our very real responsibility is to not figure out how we're going to teach people, how to do their jobs to serve our clients in the best possible way.
The world of insurance is changing because the world of tech is changing. Join us on the journey at ibactech.ca.